The vastness of the galaxy was a canvas painted with stars, nebulas, and countless worlds. Each planet held its own secrets, its own civilizations, and its own mysteries. But among them, there was one thing that every sentient race shared: the awe and reverence for the cosmic expanse that surrounded them. For millennia, many species had sought to explore the stars, to understand the universe beyond their own worlds. Yet, despite their advances, the galaxy remained largely unknown, a frontier of possibilities and dangers. On the outer edge of the Virgo cluster, the planet Zarak was a hub of interstellar activity. Home to the Zarakians, a race of intelligent four-armed beings known for their prowess in astromechanics and trade, it had become a bustling center for commerce and diplomacy. Alien ships from various corners of the galaxy docked at its orbital stations, exchanging goods, knowledge, and culture. The Zarakians were proud of their advancements, boasting the most sophisticated warp drives and communication arrays known among the stars. But all that changed on a day that would be etched into the annals of history. The Zarakian High Council had received word of a new species emerging from the distant Milky Way, a species that called themselves humans. Rumors had spread like wildfire, tales of ships that could traverse vast distances in mere moments, technology that seemed to defy the very laws of physics. The Zarakians, ever curious and eager to learn, extended an invitation to the humans, hoping to see this miraculous technology for themselves. The day of the humans' arrival had finally come. The Zarakians gathered in the Grand Orbital Plaza, a colossal structure floating high above Zarak's atmosphere. Diplomats, scientists, and military leaders stood side by side, their eyes fixed on the star-studded sky. The Zarakian Prime Minister, a tall and imposing figure with a crown of crystalline horns, waited with bated breath. Then, without warning, space itself seemed to ripple. A strange, shimmering distortion appeared in the void, growing larger by the second. The Zarakians watched in awe as a fleet of sleek, silver vessels materialized out of thin air. The ships were unlike anything they had ever seen, smooth, elegant, and devoid of the bulky warp engines that adorned their own ships. Each one seemed to hum with a barely contained energy, a power that was both mysterious and mesmerizing. As the largest of the human ships, a colossal vessel named the Horizon, glided into the plaza's docking bay, the Zarakians exchanged nervous glances. The ship's surface shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the distant stars and the gas giants beyond. Its design was streamlined, almost organic, with no visible weapons or defensive systems. It was as if the ship itself was a living entity, moving with grace and precision. A ramp extended from the ship, and a delegation of humans descended. They were humanoid, similar in form to the Zarakians, but with only 2 arms and a more delicate frame. They wore sleek, form-fitting suits that glowed faintly with blue light, a sign of the advanced technology embedded within their very clothing. Leading the delegation was Admiral Lena Carter, a woman of striking presence, with piercing green eyes and short-cropped brown hair. She walked with confidence, her every step exuding authority. As she approached the Prime Minister, the Zarakian leader extended a hand in the traditional greeting of his people. "Welcome to Zarak," the Prime Minister intoned, his voice deep and resonant. "We have heard much about your people and their extraordinary technology. We are honored to have you here." Admiral Carter smiled, her expression warm yet enigmatic. "The honor is ours, Prime Minister. We have long desired to meet the Zarakians, renowned for their ingenuity and wisdom." As the pleasantries continued, Zarakian scientists eagerly examined the human ships from a distance. They marveled at the seamless construction, the lack of any visible propulsion systems, and the strange energy readings emanating from the vessels. The ships seemed to be powered by something far beyond the Zarakians' understanding, a technology that operated on principles unknown to them. Admiral Carter noticed their curiosity, and with a nod from the Prime Minister, offered a tour of the horizon. The Zarakian scientists were thrilled, their excitement barely contained as they boarded the human vessel. Inside, the ship was a marvel of design and efficiency. The walls were lined with holographic displays, constantly updating with information and star maps. The air was cool and crisp, with a faint scent of ozone, as if the very atmosphere was charged with energy. The ship's corridors were wide and well lit, with no visible machinery or controls. Everything was operated through a sophisticated AI system, capable of responding to the crew's thoughts and commands. As they reached the ship's core, Admiral Carter gestured to a massive, glowing sphere suspended in the center of the room. "This is the drift drive," she explained. "It allows us to move between any 2 points in the galaxy instantaneously by creating a controlled wormhole." The Zorakian scientists stared in disbelief. They had theorized about such technology, but it was far beyond their capability to create. The implications were staggering: instantaneous travel across the galaxy without the need for cumbersome warp drives or fuel. The humans had effectively mastered the fabric of space-time itself. One of the Zorakian scientists, a renowned physicist named Dr. Zelthar, could hardly contain his amazement. This is impossible," he stammered. "How did you achieve such a breakthrough?" Admiral Carter's smile widened. "Our ancestors discovered the principles of quantum entanglement and zero-point energy centuries ago. But it wasn't until we unlocked the secrets of the drift, a natural phenomenon found in the deepest reaches of the galaxy, that we could harness it. The drift exists in a state beyond time and space, and with the right technology, we can navigate it." The Zorakians were speechless. The drift, a concept they had only encountered in the most speculative of theories, was real, and the humans had tamed it, using it to explore the galaxy in ways that no other species could. As the tour continued, the Zorakians' initial pride in their own technology began to fade. The human ships were not just superior, they were on an entirely different level. The humans had transcended the limitations that bound every other species in the galaxy, and their presence on Zarak was a reminder of how much further the Zorakians had to go. By the time the tour ended, the Zorakians were left in a state of awe and humility. The Prime Minister, who had prided himself on Zarak's technological advancements, now found himself questioning everything. The galaxy was far larger and more complex than he had ever imagined, and the humans were the key to unlocking its mysteries. In the days following the humans' arrival, the Zorakian High Council convened to discuss the implications of what they had witnessed. The Prime Minister, along with his advisors, debated the best course of action. It was clear that humanity's technology could revolutionize the galaxy, but how could they ensure that it would be used for the greater good? Meanwhile, Admiral Carter and her delegation engaged in diplomatic talks with the Zorakian leaders. The humans were open and willing to share their knowledge, but they were also cautious. They had encountered other species before, some friendly, others hostile, and they knew the dangers of introducing advanced technology to less developed civilizations. After much deliberation, an alliance was proposed. The Zorakians would gain access to certain aspects of human technology in exchange for their knowledge of the galaxy and their expertise in astromechanics. Together, they would explore the drift, mapping its pathways and discovering new worlds. The alliance would be a partnership of equals with mutual respect and shared goals. The Zorakian High Council agreed, seeing the potential for growth and advancement. The humans, too, were eager to learn from the Zorakians, whose deep understanding of star systems and trade routes could prove invaluable. With the alliance in place, joint expeditions into the drift began. Zorakian scientists and human engineers worked side by side, studying the strange phenomenon that allowed for instantaneous travel. The drift was a mysterious realm, a place where the normal rules of physics didn't apply. Ships could travel vast distances in seconds, but the path was fraught with dangers, unpredictable energy surges, gravitational anomalies, and the ever-present risk of becoming lost in the void. Despite the challenges, the expeditions were a success. New star systems were discovered, and previously unknown planets were charted. The Zorakians and humans shared their findings, each learning from the other's expertise. The galaxy, once so vast and unknowable, began to shrink as the drift opened new pathways between the stars. But with each discovery came new questions. What was the true nature of the drift? Where did it come from? And what other secrets did it hold? The more they explored, the more they realized how little they truly understood. The joint human-Zorakian expedition had been making routine drift jumps for several months, mapping uncharted regions and cataloging new star systems. Each mission brought new discoveries, but it also reinforced the notion that the drift was an unpredictable and enigmatic phenomenon. The drift wasn't just a tool for travel, it was a labyrinth of possibilities and dangers, a place where the laws of physics could shift without warning. The crew had become accustomed to the bizarre, temporal distortions, gravity wells that appeared and disappeared, and strange energy readings that defied explanation. But nothing had prepared them for what they found on the edge of the drift's deepest region, a place where no sentient being had ventured before. The first indication that something was wrong came when the ship's sensors picked up a massive gravitational anomaly, a ripple in space-time that was growing in intensity. Captain Elias, a seasoned human explorer, immediately ordered the ship to halt its drift jump and return to normal space. But the anomaly had other plans. Before the crew could react, the ship was yanked violently off course, pulled toward a colossal structure that seemed to materialize out of the void. The structure was ancient, its surface covered in strange glyphs and markings that no one could decipher. It was unlike anything the humans or Zorakians had ever encountered, a relic from a civilization that had long since vanished. The ship's AI systems struggled to compensate for the sudden surge in energy, and alarms blared as the crew scrambled to regain control. The Zorakian scientists, who had grown accustomed to the calm efficiency of human technology, now found themselves at the mercy of forces beyond their comprehension. "What is that?" Dr. Zelthar whispered, his voice tinged with awe and fear as he stared at the structure on the main view screen. Admiral Carter, who had joined the expedition to oversee this critical phase of their exploration, furrowed her brow. "I don't know," she admitted. "But it's drawing us in. All systems are failing. We need to find a way to stabilize the ship." As the crew worked frantically to regain control, the structure began to emit a pulsating light, resonating with an energy that felt both alien and familiar. The light grew in intensity until it enveloped the entire ship, and then, just as suddenly as it had started, the light dimmed, and the ship's systems came back online. But the relief was short-lived. The ship's communication systems crackled to life, and a message, ancient, encrypted, and barely comprehensible, flooded the command deck. The language was unfamiliar, but the ship's translation matrix, combined with Zorakian linguistic algorithms, began to decode it. "It's a warning," one of the Zorakian linguists said, her voice trembling. "A warning from a civilization that existed long before us. They called themselves the Seraphim." The name sent a chill through the crew. The Seraphim were a myth, a legend told in the oldest star charts, spoken of in hushed tones by those who dared to explore the galaxy's most remote regions. They were said to have wielded unimaginable power, using the drift not just for travel but as a weapon, bending the very fabric of reality to their will. But they had disappeared eons ago, leaving behind only whispers and ruins. The message continued, fragmented and distorted, but the meaning was clear enough. Beware. The drift. A living force. The Seraphim. Consumed. Endless hunger. Power. Devours. All. Admiral Carter's face paled as the implications sank in. "The drift isn't just a phenomenon. It's alive. It's a force that the Seraphim tried to control, and it destroyed them." Dr. Zelthar, ever the skeptic, shook his head in disbelief. "But that's impossible. How can a spatial anomaly be alive? It's just energy, a byproduct of the universe's natural forces." Admiral Carter turned to him, her expression grim. "We've seen enough to know that the universe is far stranger than we ever imagined. If the Seraphim couldn't control it, what chance do we have?" The crew was silent, each member grappling with the realization that they had been toying with powers beyond their understanding. The drift, which had been their greatest discovery, was now revealed to be a potential harbinger of destruction. As the ship's systems continued to stabilize, the ancient structure began to power down, its lights dimming and its energy field retracting. But before it went dark completely, a final message was transmitted, clearer than the rest. "Leave, before it awakens, before the hunger consumes all." The urgency in the message was unmistakable. The Seraphim had left this warning as a last act, a desperate plea to any who might follow in their footsteps. "We need to leave," Captain Elias said, his voice steady but tinged with fear. "Now." Admiral Carter nodded. "Agreed. Set a course back to Zarek. We need to inform the High Council and the United Terran Federation. This changes everything." The ship's drift drive, once a symbol of human technological prowess, was now a source of unease. The crew initiated the return jump with a sense of trepidation, knowing that they were leaving behind not just a relic of an ancient civilization, but a potential threat to all life in the galaxy. As the ship entered the drift and the familiar shimmer of space-time distortion surrounded them, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that the drift itself was aware of their presence. The jump felt longer than usual, the tension in the air palpable. When they finally emerged back in Zarek's orbit, there was a collective sigh of relief. But the relief was tempered by the knowledge that they had uncovered a secret that could shake the foundations of the galaxy. Back on Zarek, the news was met with shock and disbelief. The High Council convened an emergency session, and the United Terran Federation sent its top scientists and military strategists to assess the situation. The decision was unanimous. The drift must be sealed off, its secrets buried to prevent any future calamity. The alliance between humans and Zarakians was stronger than ever, forged in the crucible of shared discovery and shared fear. But now their focus had shifted from exploration to containment. The drift, once a beacon of hope and progress, was now a looming shadow over the galaxy. The galaxy's future was uncertain. The drift's true nature remained a mystery, and the threat it posed was still beyond comprehension. But one thing was clear. The humans and Zarakians had learned a hard lesson. Some doors should never be opened, and some knowledge was too dangerous to pursue. As the fleet of ships moved away from the drift, leaving it behind in the vastness of space, the ancient structure faded from view, its warning echoing in the minds of those who had heard it. And somewhere, deep within the drift, something stirred. A force older than time itself, waiting, watching, and hungry.